A tough loss for the Bulls, a game in which they were right there, stayed connected with the Bucks throughout the game, managed to get it to overtime on a game-tying shot from DeMar DeRozan, but it wasn't enough going into OT. And what would have been a 5-game winning streak, the Bulls fall and are now back to 6 games below 500. But here's the thing, because there's a lot to unpack from this game, but the biggest thing that stood out to me and continues to stand out is that this team, their mentality and the way they keep fighting, the way they've been able to match the opposing team's energy, continuing to play with speed, fighting for loose balls, all of that signals to me that these guys know they can be better and know how to be better. Like, let's be real, going into this game, I did not think there was a chance the Bulls were going to win this one. And I'm sure that was the case for most of you, not after winning 4 straight and coming into Milwaukee while the Bulls didn't have Alex Caruso and Zach Lavine. And the Bucks were fully healthy. Not after the Bulls beat the Bucks in Chicago in a game the Bucks really should have won when the Bulls didn't have DeMar DeRozan or Zach Lavine. And don't get me wrong, there were mistakes from this game, things that the Bulls need to clean up, which I'll get to, but the fact that the Bulls, 1, kept this game competitive, and 2, narrowly won the game, sending it into overtime, and even when things looked like they were all but over when the Bucks were up 7 with less than 2 minutes to go, the Bulls still managed to take this one to the wire. I know we've talked about how this really is already a lost season and the Bulls won't be able to dig themselves out of this hole, but if these last 6 games are any indication for how the Bulls are going to play from here on out, and going toe-to-toe with some of the best in the league, they may be able to salvage the season. Not saying they're going to win a title, but maybe make it fun and respectable of a year where they maybe get to the playoffs by way of the play-in. Maybe. But anyway, let me start with the positives of this game, and then I'll go into some of the things that were a problem. I mean, first and foremost, another game in which the Bulls played with a high degree of pace, ball movement, getting downhill, spreading the floor. The Bulls had 25 assists in this one and also shot 15 for 34 from 3. The Bulls crashed the boards. They've continued to get better with their overall rebounding for a team that had been in the bottom 5 in total rebounding in the NBA. They out-rebounded the Bucks 51-48, another game where they were able to get a lot of second chance opportunities with 18 offensive rebounds. Andre Drummond had 11 offensive boards alone. Just hilarious when you see his stat line. I was shocked to see that he grabbed 16 rebounds in a game where he only played 14 minutes. Didn't finish that well, finish at the rim anyway. He only went 3 for 12 overall, but it always just boggles my mind how quickly he's able to grab rebounds in such a short amount of time. Bulls also only had 6 turnovers in this game, the whole game. A game that went into overtime. They're so good at taking care of the ball, and it's a big reason why it keeps them in so many of these games. But limiting your turnovers, getting all of these second chance opportunities, playing with speed and ball movement doesn't really mean much if you can't finish. And while the Bulls shot well from 3, in large part due to Coby White, who I'll get to, but overall, the Bulls were 41% from the field, a lower percentage than what they shot from 3 tonight. The Bulls were 47 of 114 from the field. The Bulls had 114 shot attempts compared to the Bucks 86. You should not be losing a game when you have that many more shots than your opponent. Like, as good as the Bulls were in this one, that's inexcusable. And the Bulls actually had a lot of good looks on some of those shots, but they just kept rimming out. So I'm not mad at the way the shots were generated, and sometimes it just isn't your night, but you gotta shoot better than 41%, especially against a team who has struggled defensively like the Milwaukee Bucks have. Io, 0 for 6, Vooch, 6 for 16. I mean, really the only guy who shot the ball exceptionally well tonight was Coby White, who just had another phenomenal game. 33 points, 12 for 20 from the floor, 6 for 10 from 3, 60% shooting from 3, and he was 6 for 8, but he kind of had to heave up a couple of shots, bad threes at the end of the game because guys just weren't getting him the best open looks. 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and here's the thing that annoyed me the most about this game, at least when it came time to closing it out. Why did they stop going to Coby? I get that DeMar is the king in the fourth. I get that he's your veteran who is great at finishing games. And of course, he hit that big shot to send it into overtime. But DeMar, who was having a very hot start to the game, hitting everything, even from 3, in the fourth quarter, he really struggled to knock down his shots. Wasn't taking good shots. Wasn't setting up a play. It was hero ball DeMar, which again, I'm not saying he hasn't earned, but in a game where you're struggling to knock down shots in the fourth quarter and you've got a guy like Coby who is red hot and knocking down big buckets, maybe go to Coby. I don't know if that's on DeMar or Billy Donovan, maybe it's on both, but I just could not figure out why they didn't get Coby more looks in the final minutes. It was almost like he was an afterthought and to just let DeMar pound the ball and do his thing. What's crazy is overall, DeMar DeRozan had one of his best games in his Bulls tenure by the numbers. According to Bulls PR, he was the first player to score 40-plus points and 10-plus assists since Michael Jordan did it back in 1992. Whenever you're in the same company of something that Michael Jordan did, you know you had a good game. DeMar, 41 points on 14 for 30 shooting, 3 for 6 from 3 to go along with 11 assists. That's what's also bizarre to me is that DeMar was actually great at facilitating in this one, and all that went completely out the window in the fourth quarter and in overtime. Like, I can't be too mad because he had a great game overall, was a +8 on the night, and that is his job, is to close out games for the Bulls, but recognizing that Coby was a serious threat in this one should have been given more focus. Now, Patrick Williams, another strong, aggressive game for him, 15.7 rebounds, had a couple of big finishes, one with the putback from a missed shot that DeMar had in regulation, and another finish off a feed from DeMar in overtime. Again, as long as I'm still seeing continued progress and consistent play from both Patrick Williams and Coby White, that's huge for me and how I feel about this team beyond whatever moves they end up making, whether it's moving Zach Lavine or even DeMar DeRozan. The fact that these guys are finally making strides in the right direction and playing with a lot of confidence is all that matters to me at this point in time. Vucevic, yeah, another bad game for Vuce. Vuce has really been up and down all year, and for some reason just really has struggled to hit easy point-blank shots at the rim. Didn't get to the foul line once in this game. Was 6 for 16 overall, 2 for 5 from 3, 14 points, 10 rebounds. And man, do we need a guy like Vucevic to step up in these types of games where you need your veteran presence, you need your savvy big man. Because Vuce, generally speaking, makes the right plays. He makes the right reads on offense, but you've got to finish those easy shots near the basket. But anyway, that aside, it was good to see Dalen Terry getting some non-garbage time minutes, even hit a 3, wasn't expecting that. Had a nice block in there too. I mean, these guys are going to be seeing more minutes with people like Alex Caruso and Zach Lavine being out of the lineup. That's the other thing I'll say. Had Caruso played tonight, Bulls likely would have won this game, because having him in there for the closing minutes is crucial when it comes to the decision making and the effort on defense. But it is what it is. It sounds like Alex Caruso's injury isn't that serious and that it's possible he'll be available to play tomorrow against the Nuggets back at home at the United Center. That's the other thing. A win tonight would have been so key, knowing the difficult schedule you have ahead of you. But hopefully the Bulls will take this loss, use it as a motivator that they were right there, and as long as they continue this level of play, continue this level of effort, they can hang in there with the best of them in the association. But anyway, let me know what you guys thought of the game. As always, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.